Time to do some cleaning of our rug and carpets, and also do a review of this wonderful VAX 6131T Multivax 3-in-1 wet and dry vacuum cleaner. I'm going to be showing you how to use this in both wet and dry mode, and general maintenance, and an overall overview and review. And you're watching FlorenceBallardA3060 on film. Before we get started with demonstrating the vacuum, I'll talk you through some of the features and accessories you'll have with your vacuum. So with these, you can wrap the cord around the motor head. Simply unclip it. It's a very long cable as well, so enables you to have maximum reach. Nice orange colour. On the top here, got our controls. This button switches your vacuum cleaner on, so whether it's in dry mode or wet mode you use that. This is what switches on the pump for the solution. You'll only use that when you're using it in wet mode. This will be running in dry mode as well. Your rating sticker. I'm sure many people here are quite familiar with VAX because you may have a older model like a 121 or VAX 2000, or you may have the 6131 model, which is I believe it was a less powerful version that they did in the early 2000s of this. On the base we've got 5 swivel casters, enable you to move the vacuum around easily. To undo the lid, you've got a nice carrying handle here, undo the lid, pop open these at either end, and we'll look inside. Underneath you have your solution hose and a filter here. You must either clean this or replace it when it gets dirty. Put that on one side. Now this is the solution tank. This is where you put your warm water and carpet cleaner solution. Lift this out. Inside here you've got a ball float. What that does, when your vacuum cleaner is extracted as much water as it can take, this ball valve will suck itself up here, and it basically stops the vacuum cleaner taking in any more water. You have this is where your dirty solution goes, your dirty water. You can take 8 litres of dirty water and 4 litres of clean water. This model is the 6131T Multivax version. At the rear here as well, you'll see these notches cut out. You can store your accessories, which we're going to look at in a bit, on the back here. If you don't fancy keeping them in the cupboard, or you on the go vacuum, you take it around, you want to keep them on the vacuum, very much like what the pneumatic Henrys have got. Now what you are meant to have with this is a dry filter, very similar to what the old models had. I have one here from a VAX 121, and this is your sort of paper filter, and that goes over where the filter is, and it's meant to sit like this. However, this is from a VAX 121 and it's not compatible with this one, although it looks the same. So you would normally have this in here if you were using a bag, but because I don't have that, I unfortunately can't use this. So that's a bit of a shame. So I have to just make do. But what they do here is they put this together, and it basically screws through the filter into this. So when I use the bag, I've got to put the wet solution tank back in, otherwise the motor head will not clip on. Very easy to reassemble. Make sure your pipe is always in the side, not get squashed. Click. This is where you put your hose. You touch it and turn. It's got 4 notches, because then when you turn it, it locks itself in place. This here is where you connect your solution tube, which goes along your hose and onto the carpet wand. It pumps the solution through here, through the pipes, and onto your floor and the spray nozzle. It's relatively lightweight, despite being quite big. For those who are familiar with wet and dry vacuum cleaners, or collectors as well, The direct competitor to this model, or one it's often compared with, and does seem to lose in comparison to reviews, though contrary to popular opinion on that, I get better experience of this than I do with the leading competitor, which is the pneumatic George, or nowadays it's the Henry Wash they do. And I do own a George, the green one, but I get better results with the VAX. The only thing I will say with VAX in comparison, it's a little bit more flimsier to set up and works differently. But the older VAX models were a lot more complicated because they didn't use a pump, they were gravity fed, so it didn't always pump solution out the best way. We're talking models 121, 111, etc. had a black tub to it. Very famous design VAX have had, and they've gone on for a while, but I don't believe they make this model anymore. This one I brought, well, I got it around 2017, but I've seen these as far out as 2014 or so. So I'm going to talk you through some of the accessories for this vacuum, and then we'll do a dry test, dry pickup, and then we'll do a shampooing and extraction. Right, so some of the accessories we have here. This is your solution tube. This is what is responsible for pumping the solution from the vacuum cleaner tank to your floor tool. This is what connects up at the front of the machine, connects it in, and it pumps it through here. This goes alongside your vacuum hose tubes and basically clips it in line. This is your standard hose with your suction control. So you raise it. It does get a bit jammed because I haven't used it in ages. Lower it to reduce suction, push it up to increase suction. That is a bit tight because I haven't used it in ages. You have your two standard vacuum hoses here with a clip. This is where your solution tube goes along. They're very similar to the pneumatic ones. Now, here's your floor wands. This is your dry floor wand with a tool to lower and raise the brushes. This is your wet one. You use this to control whether the solution comes out or not. It attaches itself here and sprays it through this hose. Sprays through here. This one's been a bit battered because we have used it quite a bit, and you'll see it being sprayed out and extracted back in. VAX did like a lot of orange, even to this day they still do. At the rear here we have new filters. So you've got your blue one, which goes, as we've shown you, underneath the motor housing. Black one, which goes at the rear of the vacuum. And this cone one, that one is what is meant to sit above the it's meant to sit above the vacuum itself. But unfortunately, I don't seem to have the attachment for that, which is, can't figure out what actually happened. Or maybe I didn't get it because this came in the box. These are your paper bags for dry vacuuming. Now, some more nifty ones here. Crevice tool for getting in the nooks and crannies of the house. Upholstery tool for wet vacuuming. So if you want to clean up your dining chair covers, your sofas, that's what you use. These are your dusting brush and dry upholstery vacuum tool. We're not going to probably review all the attachments, but I'm going to give you basics of what an everyday person would most likely use. So we're going to give that a go. Starting off with a dry vacuum, I'll show you how to assemble the vacuum for dry use, and then we'll prepare with some shampoo and warm water for the wet vacuuming. So you unclip from the side, lift up. Now, of course this would not normally be in there, but I have to keep it in there. Now what I'm going to do while we're here is I'm going to replace this filter as well, because that is quite well used. You can either, some people wash these, and I tend to do that. If it's ripped and everything, then of course I'll wash it. Go ahead, and I'll place the filter underneath. So that's the motor fan housing, and what you do, it's very different as you see. So that will just sit under there, make sure it gets in all the little grooves, as you can see. Little notches under there, just push it all under, make sure it sits in there and it's supported. That'll make sure it doesn't come out during use. This is what protects any bits of fluff from getting into the actual motor fan itself, because that can cause a fire or just motor failure in general. I've seen many vacuums go bust because of that. It's Especially nice to work at British Art Foundation. That's in. Now the cone one, we unfortunately don't have the thing to replace that with. This one, however, black one, is going to go at the rear. Spin the vacuum around, it goes in here. So just simply pull that cover off. Sometimes it requires a bit of firm pulling. There you go. You should be able to get it off. Sometimes it does take a bit of force to get it off. Yeah, slides up. There you go. Now this one's perfectly fine. So I'll show you, I'm going to still reuse this, I'm not going to put a new one in. So how you do it, is put it in, just make sure it sits nicely in the little housing. You can always pause the video if you need to, guys. That's your exhaust, it stops anything from coming out of there. As you can see, previously we've had a bit of fluff there, and soap damage. Put it in, and then slide down. Just make sure it sits, perfectly in line. Vaxes do like to be a bit difficult sometimes, so you need to push down. There you go. Alright, so if you have your filter, you normally reassemble that. But what we're going to do now is show you how to put the bag in. Now, I've got one bag here, I've got like a pack of 5 or so. It's got to line up with the housing in the front. And I hope Amy's watching this because she has the same one as this. My girlfriend who's coming, she's actually coming to London tomorrow. So imagine it like the letter U. The round part goes at the bottom and it's going to slide into this bit here. So we're going to put that in like that. Just sits in the housing. It's nicely in there. That's ready for dry vacuuming. So I've now got to put that on top, unfortunately, which is a little bit difficult. But we'll get there. There you go. So I've had to rearrange the bag so it doesn't get damaged. Remember to put the solution hose, make sure it's sitting in here, not being squashed. If it is being squashed, then just check for it. Clip down, and you're ready to go for dry vacuuming. So, what we do now is take our hose. Remember I mentioned about the notches? So you see there's 4 notches on the hose, 1, 2, 3, 4, all at 90-degree angles. So you slide it in so that the notch matches up with the hole, and then twist. That is now locked in place. To remove it, you turn it, pop off. And that's what that seal is there, just to keep the suction in and stop water leaking. Okay, now we're going to get 2 of our poles. Now when it comes to the solution tube, you can keep as many on here as you want. I tend to try and keep more on the actual hose itself, because it's longer. It's where the majority of it's going to be. This part doesn't detach, this bit size, so what we do is pop one on, like that. Make sure it's on nice and tight. Very much like pneumatic Henrys, putting them on. And that's that. Let's put that to the side. Oh, really sweating here, guys. And I'm going to attach, so I'm going to start with the floor tool. So that's got a bit so you can store it. And that's it. Make sure it's straight, twist if needs be, and you're ready to go for dry vacuuming. Let's go. So just a warning to anyone who's wearing headphones or earphones or sensitive to noises, I would recommend you lower your volume because these cleaners are quite loud. This is a 1300 watt motor, so it's very powerful, more powerful than anything in my collection. This is why it's not made anymore, because there's a law about, I think, vacuum cleaners being over 1000 watt can't be sold. So slow your volume and yeah, enjoy. So to start the vacuum cleaner up, we press the red button on top at the front. Really is pulling at the carpet. What this has is little wheels on the back that help it glide. So we put the foot down on the lever, push back, deploy to brushes. And it can now go nice and smoothly over our hard floor. Very, very powerful suction it's got. It's quite easy to bend as well, so it goes down the corners easily. Quite what people say, it's a very good vacuum, in my opinion. I think VAX are very underrated. Now, I'm going to use the upholstery tool. I quite like using this for doing the stairs with as well. I can also use the crevice tool, the dusting brush. It might be quite loose, but it actually stays on there. Very good suction. So now we're going to convert the vacuum cleaner from dry use to wet use. So lift up the top, remove your bag and hose, just taking care not to create a dust cloud. So just going to leave that outside. No, these bags are not reusable, so once they're full, get rid of them. Okay, so you're going to place your solution tank in. That's what you're going to need. That's where you're going to put all your solution. Now, you normally would have solution in there, but we'll show you how to set the whole vacuum up. Close this, put your hose back in. Now then, we've got our selection of washing tools here. So first thing you need to get is your solution hose. Make sure it doesn't get knotted. Pop in to the front. Again, it's like the vacuum hose, 2 notches. Pop in and twist. Locks it in place. Now then, what you've got on your hose are these clips, so you can adjust them to however you want. So I'm going to put one here, and you just pinch the hose slightly, like so, and then feed it in. And then you can customise it. So I like to keep a few along the hose, but I'll also take some and put them on the actual. Because what this does, it's not like, see, when you compare the pneumatic versions, they have their solution hoses built into the actual hose. But there's a few different things to do with pneumatic comparing to, one thing is about the wheel design, and I'll go through this at the end. Okay, once you're at the end, you're going to get your vacuum hoses, or tubes. Now then, what we need to change is the floor wand. This is the dry one. You're going to put your clear wet one on. Same way as the dry one goes on, except got to make sure you. So what's good is sometimes to have a clip on the top by the handle. I'll show you on the top here, because then it stays in line. If you want to see a much better review, check out iBasiac's channel, I'll put him in my description. I always say for any reviews I do of vacuums, he is the much better person, Roger, at doing vacuum reviews. And that's why I tend not to do vacuum videos, because I leave that for him to do. After all though, he has been an inspiration for me on this channel. That's on there now. Now what you do, feed it through the last 1 or 2 here. And then what I'm going to do is you get the end. And you pop it on the end here. And that makes sure it goes into the attachment. And then you can adjust your hose as needs be and have it like so. Now your vacuum, your VAX, is all ready for shampooing. We need to get the solution. Alright, so today's solution now, it doesn't matter what solution we use, and it's not relevant to the video really. You can use VAX's own solution, you can use any solution in a carpet cleaner. VAX will obviously recommend you use their own one. This is a brand called 1001 and it's a very good brand. Used to sell a lot of this when I worked in Robert Dias. The measurements might be different though. This is 4 capfuls into 1 litre of warm water, so not cold, or cold if you want, but make sure it's not hot. So 1 litre is, so I'll do about 500 of hot, and then okay, and then I'm going to put 4 capfuls in there. Oh, it's got a nice fragrance, it says. It's like a milky white colour as well. So it's 1, 2. We're only doing a small area, so we don't need a massive amount. 3, 4. Okay. Got a good mix. Nice and frothy. It's good to go in the vacuum cleaner. Simply what you do is pour it into the solution tank. I like to go all the way around. And then the machine will pump that through. The procedure for using the wet function on wet and dry vacuum is very different for each one. Pneumatics is like a trigger spray, whereas the VAX, they have their solution pump running whilst the vacuum cleaner is extracting. So it's quite the fact that you get extraction plus. A lot of people criticise this, but yeah. So we're going to have a little look what we do. So as I warn you, it's going to be loud. So what you've got to do with this one is switch it on first and then hit the solution pump button. So you go. That gets the water solution going out, and you should be able to see it coming out through here. Push the nozzle forward. There you go, and that's the solution coming out. So apply the solution whilst you vacuum. So unlike pneumatics, just let scrub it in. It's the only downside to these vacuums. So just do nice, long, slow stroke. It does take a while. That's some orange juice that's got ages ago. And that's it. He's getting a little cross sometimes as well. And we can do that, suck the water back out. Look, that takes the water back out. Again. It is annoying that you've got to have the thing running whilst you... And again, just extraction. Smells already nicer in there now. So again, push that forward to let the solution out. Roll forward. I feel the warmth, I feel the solution going through. You can't really do that, you've just got to go nice and slow until every bit is taken out. The more water you extract, the drier your carpet will be. I can see loads of orange juice coming out of that. drag it back. That smells so nice. Bit of a slight problem. The upholstery nozzle that I've got with this vacuum doesn't seem to fit onto the hose of this one, so unfortunately I'm unable to demonstrate this, which is a bit of a shame because I really wanted to be able to do the back of my sofa bed. But yeah, it connects onto that. And that part there pops out, sorry. But that, I mean, there's no like, there's no way of feeding it in. It can't be taken apart, so yeah, a bit pants, isn't it? Alright, well, at least we've shown you the full demonstration of it. Alright, shall we see what this picked up then, shall we? So, I'm going to just put this on a towel. Now, when you sometimes disconnect this, so it did use up all the solution, sometimes there's a bit of air caught in it, so push in and turn out. Pop that down here, because the solution hose sometimes leaks out water. So, see, if you look at the end of that, there's foam coming out of that. So just put that down in the towel. Alright. And there is our dirty water. It's a bit frothy. To swirl it around. Yeah. Hope none of you guys were eating food or having your dinner while I was doing that. But yeah, that's all picked up from the carpet. It's quite effective. Now, all you do, tip that out in the bathtub, give it a rinse out. I like to flush this on cold water and let some cold water go through the system and clean everything out. But because it wasn't a heavy clean, you could just literally just run some water through the shower, through all this lot, and give it a dry out, and then put it to store. Just make sure it's all nice and clean and dry before you put it back into storage. Okay, and then we'll do a final summary. Now, the best thing is being able to put the cable around these. So you can do is start feeding it around like that. There's various ways you can do this. If not, I like to do that, spin the vacuum around and around. Although it's nice feeding it through your hands because you get to untangle, so you should do that. And all the accessories are kept inside the tub. Doing the filter. Right. And that hooks on there. Needs to be stored away. So, final review and conclusion on this VAX 6131T Multivax 3-in-1 wet and dry cylinder vacuum cleaner. Well, let's go through the pros. Pros of this: good suction. It's got good capacity for wet and dry. Quite easy to use. Got to say, the more you use them, the more simpler they become. Same policy with any vacuum. Lightweight for one, it's not bulky, despite what Amy says. Yeah, my girlfriend's got the same one, she says it's quite heavy. Not so heavy as the pneumatic versions are. Good storage facility for all the tools in there as well. And it generally looks pleasing as well. I like the roundness, the way the orange, the famous VAX orange that has gone on for decades with them, and still does to this day on some of their newer vacuums, just not as orange. It's good cable length, and although very different method for shampooing, it does the job. I mean, it got that orange juice. I didn't ever think I was going to get that. That's been on my thing for about 6 months probably. I dropped it, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to get the VAX out. Yeah, so it's quite good. It's just, yeah, it was good value for money. If you get it for $89.99 in some places, or wet and dry vacuums got about 100 odd. And also, I mentioned earlier about the caster design, the wheels. Now, so there's people that will watch this, mainly vacuum enthusiasts. Now, I understand people have their preferences. Most people do prefer the George version from Pneumatic, which I might do a review on one day actually. Some people are just biased because they like Pneumatic. Some people, however, do actually prefer it because they have better experience. I, on the other hand, I do love VAX, but I also do think that this, in comparison to the George, I've had a lot more better experiences using this one. It's a lot more easy to use. The only thing is it's a bit more fiddly with the solution tube being separated from the actual hose itself, whereas the pneumatics have got it built into their actual hose, and they rely on a trigger spray, so it doesn't rely on you having to keep pushing the pedal forward on the carpet wand. Now, I find that the design of this being completely circular, as well as also the wheel design, is a lot easier to move around. When I was vacuuming earlier on the stairs and had to pull this thing towards the stairs, because the wheels swivel around, it didn't get stuck against the wall. Pneumatics are quite known for getting stuck against walls when you pull them, because their rear wheels are actually fixed. It's only the front two that swivel. So it's like driving a car where it's got like a front wheel drive. This, however, goes all around. So this was easier to move around, also more lightweight. I find the pneumatic jaws quite heavy to lift when empty. So I mean, my experience, I do think VAX are a lot better. I would just say go for one of these, or there is a 6131 version in a lighter orange. I wouldn't say much more for the older VAXs though, because they seem a bit more fiddly, and I've had two so far that didn't come with any of their wet accessories. You can't buy them anymore actually, I don't think. But we were looking at getting a VAX 2000 for the collection, or a VAX 4000, but never got round to getting it. And also, going to go through the cons of this now. One thing about this is the designer's solution tube. It would be easier if VAX did incorporate it already into their hose rather than making it a separate attachment. I do think the filter design gets quite dirty easily, whereas pneumatics have got a different filter design to this. They've got the large bit at the top you put. This is obviously missing that part though. I think that's why it happens. Which is weird, because I actually thought I remember it coming with it. Turns out it probably didn't. I will say it's a lot noisier than a pneumatic, or most other vacuums I've used. However, I think VAX's upright floor washers are a lot louder. But yeah, very loud. 1300 watt motor though, very good suction. You don't find anything now above, I think, 800 or so, or is it 650? I can't remember what it is now. Aside from that, I also think that the bags could be designed a bit better. I think they tear quite easily, the bags on these, unless you can get thicker ones. Oh, I do think the design of the hose could be done a bit better, whereas you've got at the top. So again, I'm going to compare it to pneumatic. From here, all the way around to here, is one unit. This elbow bit doesn't separate. Whereas on pneumatics, that does separate. So I do think that's another thing they could have done. But no, apart from that, I mean, nothing else I can really sort of put to it. So, as I say, unfortunately, they don't make these brand new. But there will be sites that will sometimes sell these refurbished. Or if you look on Marketplace, they are always selling these. There's about 20 that I found around London of this. So just look for this one, or there's another one that says VAX Multivax. They do other versions. There's like a 6130, I think there is, 6151 spin scrub. That's got a rotary head to it, I believe, and it has a speed controller. If you look at my videos of VAX, I filmed one in Australia. I do think though VAX have got some very nice colours. If you want to see a full range of VAX, please check out iBasiac's channel. He's got probably every VAX cylinder known to exist, and I'm quite envious of his collection. So we're definitely going to be getting another one like this. But this is a good one. Even if your hose becomes faulty and taped up, Amy, because that one's got tape on it. And while we're here, I'll do a cross promo. I'd like to give a bit of a recognition to this carpet solution. This is 1001 brand. You can find it in most hardware stores. I found this in B&Q, but you can also get it from Robert Dyer's Home Base as well. This is a universal solution for all carpet machines, but then again, so are all types of solution. Even the ones that VAX recommend, that Pneumatic recommend, you can use them in other vacuums. It's either just recommended for theirs, or it's normally a thing that the company wants you to buy their own things. So yeah, I'll just say that with that. This is, I think I paid about £3 for that. or was it £2 something? I can't remember what I paid for it. It was quite cheap though compared to some others. I think some stores will sell it a bit more expensive. But yeah, and it really does target tough stains. It targets 4-month-old or 6-month-old orange juice. And it's got a very nice fragrance to it as well. I can't really think of what fragrance it is, but it smells really nice. And it's Wool Safe approved as well. So yeah, 500ml bottle there. Very good. But if you do ever get one of these with all that you get brand new, if you happen to find it, will come with VAX solution to it in 2 green bottles. I unfortunately used up all mine. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope that helped you. And I'll see you in the next video. Maybe some more reviews. But this vacuum has done well, and possibly getting some vlogs out with Amy being here, so you'll get to meet her. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and don't forget to keep it supreme and go with the flow.